We're back up and running. We're back up and running.
But are we really? Yes, we are. We got audio.
Is is I don't like this? Is the stream up for me?
It's back up now.
Oh, here we go.
So,
Okay.
so I guess I gotta reset from the top.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Take it from the top. Up. Up. Thanks for the 144p YouTube. All right. Take it from the top. Hello everyone. This is the Thunder Racing Network. I guess the channel is ISCC Universe now, but we're still TRN. This is the this is the ISCC production team. I am Rocket, and with me is Will Hoyt and Kyle.
What's up?
Hello.
And well, after a long wait, we are finally starting with the brand new season of the Launch Energy Elite Series, the 2018 season, and it is the beginning of a brand new era. As new title sponsor, Launch Energy coming in to take over for the departing Insomniac Games, and the series rolling out a brand new Generation 2 race car, which has certainly created a very different looking field. It will affect it's going to affect the playing field for sure. Yeah, it's probably be a much more competitive season than last year as the teams get used to the new cars. And well, and definitely another big change. Well, we're over capacity this year. We have 44 full-time cars that'll be showing up to each race, and there are 20 full-time teams that'll be attempting every single event on the LES calendar. And we will be going over each of those teams in this preseason show. And my internet file. Also, I hope my internet file can fucking go on 360. Cool.
No. No, it won't do that. It's
time for your internet to go out for the rest of the night.
Don't jinx it.
Internet's being annoying, but whatever. I don't need to see it. Okay, so first off the top of my list is Hamilton Autosports, and of course these are the teams that last year's champ. This is the team that was the last year's champion. And things are pretty much the same as they were last year. If we can get the graphic up, there we go. Yeah, the free the Canadian operation Toyota factory team. They are looking the same as last year, pretty much. Returning the car number 11 is Tyler Faber, which will be his 4th year with the team. Of course, he is a 2-time Elite Series winner. He did not win a race last year, but did improve on his points position. He was 11th in points last year, getting, I believe it was 12 top 10s. Yeah, 12 top 10s. That was, that was pretty good. That was up there with some of the best, but he certainly paled in comparison a little bit to his teammates who had much more elite seasons. And still in the 14 is Sean Angel. He's gonna be running a bit of a throwback Home Depot livery this year, and 2017 was the season of a lifetime for Sean Angel. He won 4 races, 5 poles, which is the most anyone's ever won in a single season. So, earning him the title of Rocket Man for in the LAS, and he has 2nd place points finish. But the big one was he won the Slim Jim Series championship in 2017. So he's got all of that. And of course the team championship and drivers championship from last year as well, heading into this new season. He's got so much momentum.
With the big influx of momentum with that Hamilton's had of recent, I think they're likely going to be championship threats again, so long as they can progress.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And although we do have Ryder Smith, the reigning champion. I would argue that Sean Angel coming into this year would be a bigger threat for the title, as he pretty much always has been.
Yeah. Ryder Smith, of course, new sponsor. DeWalt moved over to be a secondary for the 14 team, Monster Energy. Big name company there coming on board to be the primary sponsor of the 18 for the entire season. And I mean, it's crazy to think that Ryder Smith is actually the oldest champion that we've had.
Just goes to show.
He won the title at if I remember, I believe DJ Curtis was a champion either at 20 or 21, and like Nova was around that range. Like, our champions have been very young.
Which doesn't really bode too well for Angel, but
speaking of Angel, I mean, you say he's the favorite to win the championship, but there is one major issue holding him back from me considering him the single favorite, and that is consistency. Because I did mention all of his success from last year: 4 wins, 5 poles. You'd think that'd be a championship season, right? Well, it wasn't, because he was a mess at several points in the year. Had terrible luck as well, but there was a lot of crashes. He actually had the most DNFs of any driver last season at 8.
And yeah, it's managed to become the 2017 Drivers' Championship runner-up, despite all that.
Yeah, basically, if he wants to win this championship, that he has to get that. He needs to get that in check. His inconsistency plagued him all throughout the year, and that was his undoing. But going back to Tyler Faber here, as I mentioned just a little bit earlier, he's kind of a bit of an outlier of this free car team, because Sean Angel and Ryder Smith have both proven to be elite generational talents. Faber, he's done pretty good. Like this season and last season, he was pretty good, but didn't really set the world on fire or anything. Basically, he was good but not great, and it makes him look a bit. It makes him look a bit like just like the black sheep of the team. Like, it makes him look bad in comparison.
I wouldn't necessarily call him a black sheep. I kind of just call him the weak link of Hamilton Autosports. If he's only got 2 wins, career wins, especially rooting from 2016 at Buffalo Downs, I'd be questioning his position in the future with Hamilton Autosport. Given that Faber's had a good relationship with the team itself, I doubt that Faber's going to last much longer, given that he's had mediocre performances compared to his 2 teammates.
And wasn't there rumors in the offseason that Faber was not going to return to this 11 car in the first place?
That is correct. This car was originally going to actually be driven by former Tauja Race Unit driver Phyllis Theodore. Tyler Faber was rumored to be. It was reported that Tyler Faber had a deal in place with Audi Team Jost, but for reasons that we'll get to later in the program, that deal fell through. He went back. He stayed in the 11, and Phyllis Theodore, well, she is still at the team, but she is going to be one of the part-time drivers, and Cass, it's not frozen. We're just this is just the screen. Where's the screen we're using? It's it is a still image.
Yeah.
The part-time lineup, they have 2 drivers in car number 20 this time around. Don't forget, this 20 team is the defending PT Cup champion. Alan Cavagnaro won that title last season in the first ever PT Cup. This time around, they have the aforementioned Phyllis Fedor, but then the second driver, who will be running 5 races compared to Fedor's 10, is Jean-Luc Lornay, who is a multi-year veteran of the USSCA Walmart Cup Series. So while he is going to be donning the rookie stripes in the LES, he is no stranger to stock car racing. There's a lot, and of course, Fedor has been racing since the first season of the LES. There is a lot of experience in that 20 team.
Indeed. But it just comes down to experience in a stock car role or experience in a Launch Energy Elite Series car, which the skill will transfer over, but it won't transfer over completely.
No, you have to take into
It will
account
still
that
take time.
this new generation race car is a lot lighter and is a lot grippier than what we've seen in the previous generation race car.
That is that is
Bear in mind,
that is true.
this may not translate well if you're stuck in a primitive stock car and it transferred to a more technical race car.
I mean that is true, but I'm pretty sure Lorne does have some experience with the Pinty's cars, which are a lot more similar to what this series is running. So he might not be as out of practice as one might think. Theodore would maybe be the one I'm a little. Theodore does not have any familiarity with this style of car, I don't think. But then again, I mean, she is Canadian. She might have driven some Pinty's races before. But, yeah. The second team that we'll be getting to, well, this was a very interesting team to watch last year. And, I mean, they are, it is the Wrecking Balls, and they are, well, these are the guys to beat. Like, they've been the guys to beat since pretty much the start. Most successful team in the LES, 2 championships and 22 wins as a team. And, like, while some things stay the same, there are some major changes to the status quo.
Oh, yeah. While they are still rocking those three same drivers from last year, that doesn't mean a lot hasn't changed with this team going into 2018.
Yeah, and also they've brought back the old school. They brought back the Ganassi number style, baby. And that does mean that the number 42 that won the 2014 championship with them has returned to the team. But first, we would talk about the number 40 car. It's the Doge Man. Chris Louvier finally got that breakout season last year.
Took him long enough.
Yep. 2 wins. That's right. He actually won more than one race, and he stopped the late season collapse because he actually won a race in the European Tour. He won a Friller in Paris. Only 4 top 5s, but his 15 top 10s was tied for the most of any driver. He was on par with Ryder Smith in top 10s, and he came home 6th in the championship. Pretty fantastic season for Louvier, and riding that momentum into the new season, like donning his Slim Jim Series number. And actually, Coors Light has sponsored Louvier in the Slim Jim Series. They have moved over to that 40 team after leaving Dodge Motorsports. So certainly some Slim Jim vibes with that 40 machine. And Carber 41 now, Maxwell Chan. And, well, I mean, anyone familiar with the series, Maxwell Chan probably doesn't need much of an introduction. 9 career wins for the California native. It is the most of all time in the Launch Energy Elite Series. He wants to be the first to hit that big double-digit number, 10. However, I will say, one thing has eluded him, and that, despite all those wins, he does not have a title to his name. Last year, he tied his best career points finish of 4th place, but once again, ran out of steam and just could not pull off a championship. I think that's what he wants more than anything else.
Yep, and it just comes down to the same problem that Sean Angel has, and that's consistency. When he's quick, he gets out front and he leaves. He's the fastest guy, hands down. But the problem is getting into that zone and being that fast guy on track week in and week out.
And need I mention that Maxwell Chan usually gets off to a pretty slow start in the first half of the season, but once we get into the European Tour, something just lights up within him. If you witnessed last year's race in Great Britain, not only did he just pull away from the field, he absolutely massacred the grid, put on a clinic in the rain over in Silverstone.
Yeah, we've seen what Chan at his best is like. We saw it on multiple occasions in 2016. 2016 was kind of the reverse of what you mentioned. He was dominant in the early part of the year, and he imploded in the second half. But there was some, but amongst his 3 wins last in 2016, most of them were utterly dominating road course wins where he would break away from the rest of the field and never be seen again. we'll see what happens there. But let's get to that number 42 because oh boy, there's a lot of stuff going on there.
Oh God.
So you probably even won. So I mean, a lot of fans, maybe some out of touch, maybe some ones that weren't able to be around all the season. They're probably like, "Hey, where's Cosmic Nova?" Well, here's the thing about that. Last season, Cosmic Nova got into was going through internal problems with the team and was getting involved in lots of drama, and I mean a lot of drama. And after he was slapped with a massive penalty by the ISCC for wrecking Seth Cole at Russia, he went on strike. And boy, that was something. And Connor Atwood, who was unhappy with his own team, RJ Manson Racing, was tapped by the Wrecking Balls to fill in. They replaced the two-time champion, and he got a top 5 finish in his first start. And here's the big thing: he won Richmond. His massive winless streak of 80 races got snapped, and he returned to victory lane, and he followed it up. Not only did he get that monkey off his back, he pulled a double because he won the next week in Japan, and he just racked up strong finishes left and right, and actually managed to finish top 10 in the points despite starting only 16 races. And now...
And speaking of Atwood, though, Atwood did have a lot of internal problems with RJ Manson Racing last year, which did see him off the team amidst the drama with Cosmic Nova and the Wrecking Balls. In fact, Atwood got himself in a bit of trouble with the officials last year, also at Silverstone, with his 2 incidents with Tyler Thaber in the 11.
Oh yeah, he did get himself suspended for that. He was fed up with the team. Like, Connor Atwood his schedule was limited because his schedule was limited as part of the ill-fated split car system, and he didn't like that. He wanted to run a full season, and yeah, so he was frustrated, and he took it out on Faber in Silverstone. But he was, this guy, he doesn't show a lot of emotion aside from I don't know, anger. He's a tough guy, and Richmond, that was the most emotion I've ever seen that man show. He loves it here at this team. It's he loves the atmosphere, and well, he is back for the full season, and Red Bull went with him for to sponsor the famous number 42 car.
And I do think that Atwood is looking better than he has ever looked going into a season by far.
Oh yeah, and I think his motivation is the highest it's ever been.
Not to mention a new sponsor in the form of Red Bull.
Well, no, Red Bull's not new. Like Red Bull sponsored him at Manson last year. They followed him over.
Well, it's a new sponsor for the team.
I forgot to mention Target is still with the team. But Red Bull wanted every race on that 42. So Target, I mean, they're kind of lowering their coverage in racing, but they moved over and they'll be covering some races for Chan's 41 car. But yeah, the thing worth talking about with Wrecking Balls is the main point of interest is that first-rate driver lineup. This team has probably this driver lineup is probably the best looking overall out of any team on this grid.
Agreed.
I mean,
yeah,
you have Chris with the ovals, you have Olivia with the ovals, you have Chan with the road courses, and you have Atwood on the short ovals. It's pretty much like a triple threat team, if this is what we're implying.
I was Chan's good on short tracks and road courses. Atwood, he's always a threat on the roadies, but he managed to pull off some wins. I mean, he's certainly been great at the road courses too. I mean, at the short tracks, but I mean, his only 2 wins before. His 2 of his 3 wins are on short tracks. God, it's so weird. I'll admit, I'm still getting used to the fact that Connor Atwood's now a free time winner. I'm still not used to it. I'm used to Mr. Bridesmaid.
Yeah.
But yeah, while this top the full-time drivers, I think they're gonna be doing just fine. I'm keeping an eye on that one car. The car number 1, that is the part-time car that Wrecking Balls is running this year, and they have And there's kind of a mix of experience there. We've got two-time LES, two-season LES veteran and Slim Jim Series alumni Louis Duran running a large number of races. If I could check, he is running. No, he's running. Yeah, he's running 7. The two drivers both are running 7. The other driver in the car is Brandon Barnes, and well, I mean, we've seen his face around for a couple seasons now, and like, I mean, just a young kid from Washington. He's a hot young prospect. He's got a lot of talent, but here's the thing: he's also got a big ego and doesn't think too and he doesn't think too highly of the Slim Jim series. I've noticed, like, he basically thinks he's too good for Slim Jims, and when the Slim Jim series bought out the Slim Jim series CEO Victor Rochester bought out the Junior Series, Barnes was not happy. He did not want to race under the Slim Jim banner, and getting paired up with a Slim Jim Series alumni in the part-time car, taking some of his races away, he reacted predictably. Basically from the moment they found out they were together, Barnes has been barking at Duran on Twitter. Like, this is Duran, he's not really an asshole or anything, but like, he doesn't take crap from people. Like, this is a very volatile pairing. Like, if these guys could really make a mess that could hurt the one car's part-time program.
Yeah, bad synergy at a team can lead to things going very wrong in the long run.
Yeah, and like, they'll just have to hope that's not the case, because yeah, let me just say, they have very high expectations, like sky high. Like, it is, because we know how. They know how good this team. Like, Louvier knows how good his team is. It's championship or bust for the Wrecking Balls. Basically, if they don't win the championship, they think. Usually for them, like, if they don't win the championship, it's basically a failure for them. And
a little over dramatic, but
yeah, it's hyperbole, but like, this team really does go after championships. That's their main goal, beyond, like, above everything else. Something worth noting, like, they didn't show the speed you'd expect out of them in testing. Chris Louvier, he was 14th overall. Maxwell Chan, he was 22nd overall, and Connor Atwood was 27th overall. These preseason tests were conducted at the recently constructed Denver Motorsports Park. There was two sessions run on an oval and another course, which the infield road course will actually be on the schedule this season. We'll be running a race there this season. And yeah, like what Roush just talked about in the comments, what I was getting at, I suspect that they are sandbagging, because this is like this team definitely seems very well oiled. It is certainly possible that they may just be getting used to the Gen 2 car, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're struggling with it. They may just be trying to collect data, but yeah, like, don't let those times fool you. I think when these cars turn up to the track at Arkansas, they'll be fighting for the win.
Oh yeah, easily.
And now we go from one of the most successful teams to successful manufacturer flagships to one of a rather shaky history. We are talking about and they got a brand new name this year. We are talking about Maverick GP. This is the Ford flagship, and that's probably the most notable. Just, they rebranded, but there are some even more significant changes under the surface, though. Those changes are not with the 6 team. Matt Duncan, son of two-time NSCCA champion William Duncan, is back in the 6 car, and he's just gonna want to build off of and he had a breakout season last year, and he's looking to just build off of that. And hey, maybe they can go for another Sony 400.
Oh yeah, but this team has definitely not been the quickest of the flagships.
I feel like they've had good speed, like when things click. but it does not click a lot. And yeah, that's been the problem with them. The second car is once again Ray Krieger in car number 17. Ray Krieger, he did win the Rookie of the Year award last year, but Krieger himself said he was not happy with the season. He felt like he didn't deserve the award. Like Krieger said that he didn't think he deserved the award, and the only reason he got it is because he had a massive equipment advantage. Like he just had a great team behind him. And I mean, certainly Krieger. He's a great man. Like very humble. That like in the case of that, but yeah, that frustration of his rookie year. Like he's looking to build upon it, and he's built upon that, and just improve a lot for his sophomore season. And well, he does have a big name sponsor on there because Menards wanted a local driver to don those the bright yellow colors, and well, Krieger is from Milwaukee, so they are running, so they do have the Menards colors donning that on that 17. But the third car is definitely the one that probably would catch a lot of people's attention, because Alyssa Kirby has been one of the biggest prospects for the last several years. She's basically the most hyped up prospect in the ISCC right now, and she's finally going full time. She's taking over the third Maverick car, car number 99. The 99 number is once again in a full time role. And Kirby is behind the wheel. 2016 Junior Series champion, winningest driver in the series, and she's made a decent number of Elite Series starts with a lot of success. But I believe the threshold was 15 starts, so she is still eligible for Rookie of the Year, and she'll be one to watch for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. But it is also going to be a trial by fire for her as starting her Elite Series career right at near the top on a flagship team. It's definitely going to show what she's got.
And I mean, she definitely does have the advantage that she has raced for this team before. Because I mean, she drove for their Junior Series program. She ran a couple of races for them last year, so she does know what it's like here. But this will be her first time with a full-time team, and this will also be her first year with crew chief Al Miller. And well, I mean, Al Miller, he's a rough and tumble guy. He's but he knows his stuff, and I think he'll be a great mentor for her.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, let's just pray that Kirby will be meeting the expectations that Maverick GP are looking for this year.
Oh yeah. But yeah, definitely the biggest story with this team is, well, I mean, team owner William Duncan, he's he knows how messy of an existence this team has had, and part of the rebrand is him just wanting to leave the past behind and start fresh in 2018. I mean, after all, Generation 2 car, new era for the series, it seemed like a perfect opportunity to do just that.
I see that it's possible, but another big talking point here regarding Maverick GP is regarding Ray Krieger's future in the team. That's been up in the air for a while, according to rumor mills. If you want to elaborate further on that.
Yeah, when Ray Krieger went to signed with Maverick GP on a full-time basis last year, he signed a 3-year contract. However, the third year is an option year, which means so for 2019, Maverick could choose to not take that option, and well, that would just be the same as releasing him. So basically, 2018 is going to be a very important season for Krieger. He needs to perform, or his spot could certainly be at risk. And let me just say, due to a new team that we'll be talking about later, there is definitely a crop of drivers that could take his place if he doesn't perform. And then, the part-time car though, something I want to get to. That is that lineup is really good. William Duncan himself is gonna be back in the car for the second year. Car number 97. Viagra not on the hood anymore. Viagra did leave the sport at the end of last year, But another old school Ford sponsor, John Deere, stepped up and took its place. So it's still a very retro looking livery on that 97 car. But William Duncan, I mean, he's just as good as, he may not be full time anymore, but he's just as good as he's always been. I mean, he had a lot of speed in his limited starts last year. And he is going to be, even though he was part time, he's actually going to be running the shootout. Like the Walmart, you'll be running a Walmart shootout in like a week's time, because he got a pole in the season opener last year.
I'm very excited to see what the 2016 Slim Jim Series Drivers Champion can do this year with the new generation car. And especially if Maverick GP is... They're a team that are very desperate to be a title contender. Over the last several years, Maverick GP has, in the first half of the season, has always looked to have been a title contender, but then fall apart in the second half of the season. And hopefully this won't be the case this time around, with their lineup as it stands.
Well, I mean, to be frank, like they never really got, like the last couple of years, especially last year, they were even good at the start. They were just a mess. I mean, really, they've been a mess since 2015. Because, well, yeah, but like, I mean, we've talked about the past and how they want to leave that behind. This is a big year for them. They want to fight for it. They want to fight for wins. They want to be a contender for the title. But yeah, the other part-time driver on the 97, what I was trying to get at was Baron Praxis. And I'm sure we've talked about him over the years. Like, this is a man who he's run a few like races in the higher series, and he quickly has gained a reputation as someone who thrives under pressure. He always runs good at the top levels. And he is going to have the best equipment he's ever had, because he will be running 4 races in the Maverick 97 this year. Like this 97 team, they contended for the PT Cup title last year, and I think they'll do it again.
Although with a limited amount of races, less than what we saw out of the 1 car and the 20 car, it could come back to hurt them if they get a few bad races in there.
Well, I mean, the new part-time rules will definitely help with that. It's like the best of 7 system, where only a part-time car's 7 best results count towards the PT Cup. This allows teams that are making fewer starts to still contend for that title.
So they got it looks like a 3-race buffer that they can screw up on, and after that, they need to be on the ball.
Yep. And then back to Alyssa Kirby. I'm just gonna say the expectations for Kirby are through the roof. I talk about how hyped a driver she is, and I am not kidding. There are fans that think she could fight for a champ. There are teams that think she could actually be a rookie champion. Like a lot of people think she could actually be a contender in her rookie year. And I mean, it's not like she's getting rushed. Like it's more valid this time around, because she is ready for this role. I'd like to think she's been developing for a while, but oh boy, rookie champion, that is a little ambitious.
Yeah, I think that is going a little bit too far, as there are much bigger threats in the field. Connor Atwood, Sean Angel, Ryder Smith, and one of the people who have been a big part of the championship the last few years, who we'll talk about in a minute when that team comes up. But Kirby,
yeah,
although she could fight for a top 10 in points, I do not see her as a title threat.
No, this is far too early to determine her fate in the LES, considering she's going right into a rookie season, and especially with a top-tier team like Maverick GP.
Yeah. And now we move on from there to one of the first Chevy teams, RJ Manson Racing. And boy, last year was interesting. They had some high highs and low lows. It was a roller coaster ride. It's like, but there's some very interesting things going on with this team, and we're gonna be talking about one of them right away. It's the boy Ryan Manson. Like, he's here, and like it is crazy to see someone that young is taking on such a big role at the team. Because yeah, Ryan Manson, 19 years of age, he is the grandson of team owner RJ Manson, and he is taking over the famous car number 3 here in 2018. He is the youngest full-time driver this season. That he is tied with Stavros Dimitriou, and oh man, like there's a lot of hype for that kid, and he certainly proved himself last year. He's proved his potential last year in his part-time runs. I mean, this kid finished second on debut.
Need I mention that
Yeah.
RJ Manson Racing has already looked threatening in testing. They've been within the top 10 and top 15 as a result of both oval and road course tests.
Oh yeah, I mean, and the rest of the lineup is looking a lot more stable, like more familiar. It's number 29, Kyle Collins, and man, I don't think we were really expecting. I was not expecting to be calling Collins a title threat last year, but that's exactly what he became. And I mean, first part of the year, he was on record-shattering pace with top fives. He kind of cooled off at the end of the year, but still 9 top fives, tied for second most, 12 top tens, and he finished 5th in the championship. Like, that was an incredible season for the Canadian. And he is, once again, back in car number 29. Definitely the big thing, though, with Kyle Collins, though, is he didn't win a race last year. He's never won.
Very surprising with how fast we've seen him on multiple occasions, but it's just always been coming up short.
Yep. Kyle Collins has made 74 starts in his LES career, and not once has one of those starts ended in first place. But like, none of them have ended with him taking the checkered flag first. I think he's hoping this will definitely be the year. And I mean, if he shows the speed he did last year, I definitely think he can pull that off. And then we move to car number 31 with Nick Perker. Like, there was a lot of rumors going around that Pericles was going to get cut after a horrible first half to the season. And then he completely turned it around, went on a massive hot streak, and basically looks the best that I have ever seen Nick Pericles look.
Oh, yeah.
Was racking up top 10s, top 5s, left and right, and capped it off with breaking his winless streak in a thriller at Talladega. Nick Pericles did get re-signed to the 31. From what we're hearing, it is a 1-year extension. So his future will once again be up in the come silly season, but if he can build on what he had at the end of last year, I don't think he'll have any trouble finding a ride, even if he doesn't get re-signed.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. The big thing is surrounding this team is that the biggest concern about Ryan Manson isn't whether he's up to the task, whether he has the pace. The biggest concern has been these engines after their streak last year.
Oh yeah, Archie Manson Racing had utterly terrible reliability, and I think that's actually one of the main reasons why Kyle Collins faded out of the championship fight, because he had several times throughout the year, he had mechanical failures in practice sessions, and he would have to start from the rear in the races, and that hurt him dearly. And it got even worse right at the end, right at the end of the year, because there was all sorts of Chevy engine blowups at Auto Club, but Christopher Bryant, man, he was so good that entire race, and he blows up in the final laps. And the worrying thing about this team is it doesn't look like they've figured out those problems. The Manson cars had broke down multiple times in testing, and it's definitely a huge concern. They need to get these problems fixed, or they will not be able to fight for a title.
Despite this, their part-time team with the 33, with Christopher Bryant and Chris Valentine, they're looking to be favored to be the PT Cup favorites.
Yeah. We've seen what Christopher Bryant can do we know what Christopher Bryant can do in that car, and he's on a high, because he won the Junior Series title last year. Christopher Bryant was the 2017 Junior champ, and yeah, he's riding that momentum into this year. Chris Valentine, he's never raced in the Elite Series, but he's also made a huge name for himself in Junior. Like, the last couple of seasons at For the last couple of seasons at Maverick, he was incredibly fast, won several races, and the Valentine's moving up to the Slim Jim Series this year. He signed with RJ Manson over there, and that's part of why he got this role, running a few races in the 30 free.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I definitely like circling back to Ryan. Like there is so much hype kid after everything he did last year. But of course, the big concern is can he live up to the hype? That's the question here. And I mean, who knows? Like he is young, he's really inexperienced. Like we know he has the talent. But is he going to be able to keep up that speed over the course of 20? Like, and I mean, I don't really know I don't know if he's got that in him, but like, I know he's fast at the win races, but I don't know if he'll be able to pull off a full season. I feel like I'm buffering now.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on.
We're reconnected.
I'm back.
Okay, there we go.
Oh boy.
But yeah, like what I was saying, like as for these guys, they want to put together a full season. They are hungry for a title. It's like this team has been working hard and have been a strong unit for the past few years, and but they've just not been able to seal the deal on a title. And definitely,
especially with the first guy.
yeah, that man right there, 29 Palms, Charles Sanford, in 24 years of age this year. He's one of the best drivers in the series, but he's also gained a reputation as pretty much the LES's biggest bridesmaid. 2 championship podiums over the past couple seasons. He made a big charge in 2016, but came up short in second. Last year, he led the points for most of the second half of 2017, but had a major collapse in the final races and wound up third. And he certainly made some mistakes, both as an owner and a driver, that he wants to forget.
A lot of those mistakes, I would like to admit, are more so self-inflicted than just out of random. Had he not have caused an incident with Sean Angel in Japan, that probably would have still allowed him to be a title contender. I think that was the final nail in the coffin for Charles Sanford.
Yep. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, like Sanford, he's certainly gonna be a surefire pick to fight for a championship this season, but who knows if he'll be able to pull it off or not. That 25 car, though, we have to talk about that because that is a very interesting thing. That was one of the big surprises of silly season right there. Because Seth Cole, this car's regular driver, announced he was retiring from racing at the end of last year, and so the team needed to look for a new driver. And their new driver is Ryan Acosta, who is a veteran of the series, but hadn't really had his big break. Just like solid career, 2 wins to his name, though he hasn't won since 2015. But a couple of a terrible 2016 season and a average 2017 season. I don't think people nobody expected him to get signed here, but his experience certainly does make him a decent pick. Like, this is the best equipment Ryan Acosta has had in his career.
Let's not take away with how fast Acosta can be in this 25. I mean, we haven't really seen him truly shine yet in the Launch Energy Elite Series, and I think this will be the year he'll do it.
Yeah, this is certainly his big opportunity. Like, he's definitely a good super speedway racer. Like, I think that's probably been the best thing he's been known for over the years, because both of his 2 career wins came on super speedways. Auto Club in 2014, and then he won at the Massachusetts Super Speedway in 2015. And I mean, that was a weird race, but yeah, he's definitely good at those. Like, and we'll just have to see what he can do this year. Then we move on to that 48 car. With the Russian Niko Polyakov. How about that, guys? Someone like the 48 car has the same driver for 2 years. Can you believe it?
The curse.
That's a first.
Polyakov, I mean, like he had a solid first year with the team. Like, he won the opener. His first race as a full-time driver in that 48. Though, like, he looked like a championship contender early on. His season delved into inconsistency in the second half, and he wound up a disappointing 15th in the championship. So I can't really say the 48 car curse is gone.
Yeah, it's not. Oh, it's painful.
Yeah, like Polyakov's consistency needs to be needs to be worked on. But yeah, he'll definitely be working hard. But I will say this team's primary focus is they're probably putting most of their focus in the Charles Sanford, because he is, I think Sanford and a lot of the team member and a lot of like the people and a lot of staff and the team, they know that Sanford is the team's main horse in this championship race, and they're probably going to put the most focus into there. And I'm hoping they don't forget about the other cars. They don't like the other cars don't lack
Fade into
support.
obscurity is what I would say. At least compared
Yeah, there's
to
definitely
Sanford.
while Stanford's a reliable contender, certainties in the performance of the other 2 cars, and I'm hoping they do not neglect them. And I mean, misfortune follows this team left and right. I mean, we know what happened at Sanford last year. Seth Cole, I mean, Seth Cole had a good season last year, but he's had bad things happen to him before. Like freaking 2016, man. That was a horrible season for Seth Cole. And then of course 48. I mean, I think we all know about the infamous 48 car curse that seems to still be appears to still be lurking. Like we know that if things go well for this team, they will probably fight for a title. But will things go well for this team?
I feel like S3 Motorsports has had lots of streaks of bad luck thrown their way in recent years. And again, lots of it was self-inflicted. And others were Chevrolet reliability, as previously mentioned with RJ Manson Racing. It's difficult to say whether they can really avoid misfortune this year, if Chevrolet can get their reliability together.
Well, that's all the main 4 flagship. The next team, the Wrecking Balls, I feel like is the Dodge flagship, but you have to remember they're not the factory team. The factory team is the Paul Schaefer owned Dodge Motorsports.
Oh.
And weird flagship situation aside, this team had a lot of change. That's the wrong one, Wilhoit.
Oh no, it's fixed.
As Team Texas.
There we go. Flagship confusion aside, this team went through some pretty significant changes in the offseason.
Oh yeah.
But
it looks pretty much nearly brand new.
Yeah, and also the numbers. Well, they got changed to. They're going a bit old school. The numbers are more akin to Paul Schaefer's old team, like Schaefer Motorsports in the NSCCA. They've got the nice Schaefer font going there. I love that number font. But the one thing that remains the same here amongst all changes is James Shelley. He's been at the center. he's been getting a lot of attention at this team for the last couple of seasons, and with Reese Black stepping back from full-time driving, he is now solely the lead driver of Dodge Motorsports in that car number 9. And well, and he's got a nice black coat of paint on the Haribo livery this year. Like, it is a striking black livery, and it's very intimidating out on the racetrack.
James Shelley will also be flagging the Sweet Frog number 9 in scheduled races for this year as well.
Yeah, that is a company local to where Shelley lives, which of course is in Richmond. So they really wanted to support him, but yeah, James Shelley, really talented driver. This man knows how to win and do it in an exciting fashion. He's a lot of fans' favorites because of his underdog status. He's not trying for a top team, but he pushes that car so hard every week, and he gets that car to where it should not be. And the last 2 times he's went to victory lane were both absolutely thrilling races, including last year with his win over Ryder Smith at Texas. Definitely one of the most exciting finishes I've seen in quite some time. And he's going to be looking to do more of the same this time around.
As we go into car number 10, this is a familiar face to the LES. He is last year's part-time Cup Drivers' Champion, being Alan Cavagnaro, who last represented Hamilton Motorsport, now running the number 10.
Alan Cavagnaro, one of the most successful drivers. He's the winningest driver. Most wins all time in the Slim Jim Series. PT Cup champ last year. But in what is low-key one of the most surprising moves of silly season, he left Hamilton Autosports. He's been at Hamilton his entire career, but he left them to pursue a full-time LES ride, and he is making his return for what is, I believe, only his second full-time season in the series. But yeah, he is no stranger to the LES grid, but I'm hoping that he is more prepared this time, because he's never really had a successful career, and last year was a massive improvement for him performance-wise. I think he can do it. He's got the experience, he's got the expertise to really help that second team pick up where Reese Black left them. But yeah, it's definitely It's definitely weird to see Cavagnaro.
And we go into a big surprise to at least a lot of the paddock's expectations. William Brock will be fielding the number 19 Hooters Dodge Charger for the 2018 season. He previously came from Young Motorsports, which folded at the end of last year. So Brock was out of ride and was eventually picked up by Dodge Motorsports. The big question is his experience going to make him a liability?
Yeah, what I was going to say, he did not do a good job at all last year. I'm not going to mince words. Brock struggled his rookie season, and it's not entirely his fault, because Young Motorsports was just a mess. But he was also bested by his teammate Aiden Shepard. What got Schaefer interested in Brock was his performance in limited Slim Jim Series starts, because he ran a limited schedule with the Baby Tribe 5000 down there, and we know the way that team is. But yeah, he had some great runs down there, and that got Schaefer interested. He hired him to his program in both series, and that is a really interesting move, and probably a bit risky since, like you mentioned, he's pretty inexperienced, and there's not really any telling of what he's going to be able to do in this car.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, well, I would say he's probably the most controversial pick on the grid. I wouldn't exactly say that with the person who's probably going to be talked about in the next team that's coming up. But
not quite,
but soon.
Yeah. Soon, but Brock is still very, very controversial when it comes to people picked on this grid.
I mean,
definitely
Brock paled in comparison to what Aiden Shepard did over at Young Motorsports last year. And we'll get to Aiden Shepard a little bit later as we go through the other teams.
Yep. Yeah, this team, though, is really interesting. I don't know if we're going to fight for a title. because the history of this team is they've usually been good, but not great. They were dark horses for the title in 2015 with Reese Black. 2016, they weren't a threat. They got some wins, but that was it, and it was more of that last year. So I'm not really expecting them to fight for a title, but I don't know. Maeda can surprise some people. Probably have Shelly, which he is the anchor of that team. But one thing that's really concerning me right now, one thing that concerned me in testing though, is this, like, the Dodges have been known for their reliability the last couple of seasons, but we didn't see that in testing. The Dodge Motorsports cars had multiple mechanical failures, and Cavagnaro was pretty much running the entire road course test down a cylinder. Like there was some major issues with those engines.
And it's especially concerning if Cavagnaro and Brock make the move to Dodge Motorsports with higher expectations, only to see them falter mechanically in testing. And if this carries on through the season, I'm not sure how much longer these two can really last with Dodge.
Yeah, and something, and the weird thing is, like, Paul Schaefer doesn't really seem that concerned. What I'm is like he's been very laid back, more hands off than in years past, and like he doesn't really talk about the Slim Jim team a whole lot, and I'm wondering if that's going to be a problem. It seems like he doesn't have the same kind of passion as he used to.
Before we move on, we do have the part-time car, the 91, running select races this season, a total of 8 with Marco Rossi and James Dalton.
And James Dalton. Yeah, James Dalton is a Slim. He's just running a couple track, like he's running a companion event at the Maxwell Center, and then he'll be racing at Charlotte later in the year. I guess I probably should have mentioned S3's part-time car real quick, which is because Timur Delise is not a full-time driver this year, but he got picked up by S3. He'll be running some race. He'll be running 10 races in the 5 car, and he'll be one to watch. But you know what's gonna be more something to watch? This next team right here. Oh boy, Shell United Motors is going to be a threat. There's a lot to talk about here. This team joined the grid last year. They've been the junior series since 2015. Then in 2017, they moved up to the LES, and they did not do well at the start. Then they formed an alliance with Hamilton Autosports, and their performance just shot up. And and they've been, and James Shelley, I mean, he's made some smart decisions over the offseason. He's made some good signings that are really bolster the team's lineup and make them possible dark horse contenders for the championship. And I'm going to say right now, this team, they were so good in testing. This was one of the best teams in, you think I'm overhyping them? No, they were one of the best teams in testing. In fact, one of their drivers, it was literally the second best overall, and then another one won one of the sessions. And that guy is actually the one we're going to be talking about here, Brandon Wood, who's left Maverick. He's best known as a Maverick driver, but he left the team after last year, after a breakout season running part-time. Won 2 races, back-to-back for him. It wasn't a double because he wasn't full-time, but in 2 consecutive starts, he did win 2 races, and he had an average finish of 10.4. That was the best out of anyone last year.
Slightly skewed, given his limited starts, but that doesn't change the fact that Brandon Wood is arguably going to be one of the best drivers of Shell United this year.
Yeah, and I was he seems like this environment's definitely been good for him. He seems pretty happy with the team, and I mean, experience I wouldn't really say is a problem, because I mean, well, he's been around for a while. He just wasn't full time last year, but I mean, in testing, it seemed like he just picked up where he left off. He topped the charts in the oval test.
It's especially scary seeing the amount of pace that Brandon Wood can produce with, subpar equipment. Or not subpar, but near top tier equipment.
It's like their budget's probably on the same level as Dodge Motorsports. They're a little smaller, but not only they have heart, they know how to make cars go fast. But that second car is, of course, one we're very, very interesting one. The 2016 Launch Energy Elite Series Drivers Champion, DJ Curtis, returned to the 78 car for 2018. He had a pretty decent campaign last year, finishing 19th in the championship. So, I mean, considering...
That's Shell United was starting out,
Yeah.
Curtis himself did not have high expectations defending his Drivers Championship. He knew that right off the bat. But he knew for certain that he's going to do whatever he can to help the team out, and so far, it has paid off dividends.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But now the team's better. Now they've improved so much. He could fight for a title this year, and I do want to talk about car number 92. Jeffrey Finguy, God, I don't know who the best driver on his team is, because Brandon Wood was so good with Maverick last year, but Finguy, I mean, he showed some really strong pace last year. 8 top 10s. He didn't get any top 5 finishes, but but with that said, he almost won Sweden. Shell United very nearly got their first win their first season, but unfortunately the TRD engine gave up on him, and he ended up losing that race. But Finguy was on track to winning a race last year, and he seems really motivated to work on that. Finguy's one of those guys that kind of came out of nowhere. He's been around for a little while. He did race in 2014 full time, but didn't really set the world on fire. Ran a year in junior. Then he went to Dodge Motorsports in 2016 and exploded in more ways than one. But
And we have our part-time car with the 62 being run by Danny Everett and former BMW Team Deutschland driver Zachary Fitzwater for select races of the year.
Yeah, Danny Everett. He's taking a chance here. He's basically taking a risk of his career. He's dropped down to the Slim Jim Light Series with Shell United. He'll be running full time with them this year. He's also running part time with their Elite Series program. He's trying to prove his talent, which I think a lot of us know that he can have. He's just, I guess, he's more trying to prove that he can be reliable. But Jeffrey Finguy, something I was wanting to say, Finguy was second overall in testing. Out of the 44 drivers, Finguy was second fastest.
And that in itself is scary. If Jeffrey Finguy can be second fastest in testing, I can see him winning about at least 2 or 3 races in a year. But the big problem is, he's got a rival on his hands, and unfortunately, that's not of his own doing.
And that rival, yeah. You wanna know who that one driver was that he didn't beat? It was Allie Nelson. And I'm gonna say those two do not get along at all.
They don't get along in the paddock. They don't get along on track, which effectively cost Finguy the win in Sweden. Actually,
they don't get along on Twitter.
The list goes on.
Yeah. And I'm going to say the big thing for Finguy is he can't let that distract him. Rivalries can be good. It pushes you to be better, but you can't let it completely overtake your focus, or it could do the opposite. Because, yeah. Yeah, that's definitely something we'll be wanting to keep an eye on. And something I kind of allude to with DJ Curtis, this team does not really have high expectations. They're pretty modest about their hopes and ambitions, even though they've been improving so rapidly. And I definitely think there's just a lot of a lot of enthusiastic people that just love racing and work hard, and it creates a great atmosphere and a really like strong synergy just between the drivers and the team. Like there's no drama here. These guys they're like they definitely like working with this team.
Yeah.
Though it's safe to say that while Shell United Motors will be a dark horse for the Drivers' Championship and possibly Team Championship if all goes well with them, there's another team that will likely rival them, which we're about to mention in just a minute.
Oh yeah. This is another one of those manufacturer flagships. Audi joined the sport last year with Audi Team Jost, and well, there was some interesting changes in the off season because
The Formula X brand has decided to buy out Audi Team Joest, while Team Joest decided to pursue sports car racing.
The team has a new owner, Friedrich von Berg, who runs the Formula X team. That's why the team has been rebranded to Audi Sport.
Which has also led to a very interesting hire with Audi Sport. There were rumors last year that Tyler Faber was likely going to get the number 4 spot. Up till 2017 Super GT Drivers' Champion Eugene DeMax was one of the last-minute hires to Audi Sport, and it's arguably the most controversial hire that the ICC have seen.
Oh yeah, social media absolutely exploded when it happened. Nobody saw this coming, and I mean, it's definitely because everyone thought this was going to be Tyler Faber's car, and then, hello, DeMax, how's it going? We didn't expect you here. That was definitely just out of the blue. I mean, I'm not trying to take anything away from DeMax. He's a good driver because, I mean, yeah, he won a Super GT title last year, and it wasn't even close.
Arguably one of the most dominant performances I have ever seen in the Super GT series. Like, by the time we got to the second half of the season, DeMax took off and never looked back. And that's why Von Berg actually looked into DeMax well before the end of the season last year, even though that wasn't made public around this time. There were rumors that DeMax was likely going to go to Formula X under Audi Sport, but Von Berg completely threw that out the window when he hired him into the LES program instead, which can cause a lot of problems, especially when DeMax has had very minimal experience with the stock car.
Yeah. However, I do think the Gen 2 has come out at a perfect time for DeMax because a lot of systems with this new car, like, it definitely resembles a road racing car more than the old one did. So that will certainly help him along. But he does have no experience in this series outside of, well, an appearance at Auto Club last year where he failed to qualify.
In fact, the entirety of Audi Team Joest failed to qualify for Auto Club last year, which was a very dismal end to their first season.
It was not a good ending, but that shouldn't take away from the good season they had. But yeah, speaking of the good season, the highlight was a win in only their 5th race with Tristan Wilhoit, someone who had been looking for a long time, and in a admittedly very chaotic race at Willow Springs, Wilhoit, he kept it clean, didn't make any mistakes in a race where it mattered the most, and he in a 54 race winless streak would get snapped for his first career win. And he didn't really do much of. He was kind of on and off after that, but he's gonna be looking to build and have a solid seat, have a breakout year in 2018.
But the big concern with him is that he's been kind of put in the shadows of teammate Allie Nelson. Nelson has a lot more stronger performances despite his first win at Willow Springs last year. Nelson already has 4 career LES wins to her name, and that's scary.
Oh yeah. It's kind of surprising that Nelson didn't go to victory lane last year. And I mean, she was up front in several late races last year, and consistency's usually been her downfall, but last season was probably her most consistent season. And but I think we know that she wants to win races, and that may have been the source of her frustration. But yeah, she's known for winning races in teams that should not be winning races, and that's huge because this team is looking better than it did last year, a lot better. And I think Nelson showed why we should be scared, considering, as like we mentioned earlier, she was the fastest overall in testing.
Yeah. Nelson, when she really kicks it up, it's kind of hard to stop her.
Not only that, but it's also hard. It's also kind of hard to stop her endless banter on Twitter, especially after testing. Her endless banter really got her into some trouble with the media, particularly the Finn guy.
Yeah, and I mean, like Will Hoyt, he doesn't really. He's not particularly fond of Nelson. DeMax, I mean, DeMax is brand new at the team. I don't think he knows what to expect with the internal structure of this team, but like it could be a mess.
And it looks like Audi Sports' internal drama may spark up even before the season begins. The scary thing with Allie Nelson and Tristan Woolley are that they never get along in the garage, in the paddock, or on the track. In fact, they could care less for each other, and that may prove problemsome for the latter, because we don't know how much longer Woolley will be lasting into 16. In fact, some Toyota prospects may be looking into him in the near future if things do not pan out well for him.
One of the most interesting things about Audi Sport to me is by looking through this grid, I see that they have no part-time cars for this year. It's only full-time.
Yeah, they've certainly been focusing their development. Like I don't even know if they're even wanting to go full-time with a third car initially. But they were looking for a guy who could like properly fund it. But yeah, like they're definitely a lot more of a focused organization. They're not really a huge team. Like, I guess like they are focusing their funds more than Shell United, like a fellow new team from last year.
In fact, both teams joined around the same time of last year. But though, while Audi Sport does focus on their Formula X program, they also have their program focused here in the LES. And that might be a big change with how the season will proceed.
Yeah. But speaking of new teams, we'll now take a look at one of our new teams for the 2018 season, which is we'll see the screen pop over. It is Boost Autosports. Dean Phillips owned operation is best known for their time in the IndyCar series, and but they've been making a move over to stock car racing over the past few years. They ran the Junior Series in 2016, and were also running they're running cars in higher series sporadically, but yeah, they've been working as a Maverick satellite team pretty much ever since they popped in. Because they had a lot of manufacturer support from Ford over in IndyCar, and so there was support there from the start. And Ford really funded helped really fund their moves over the offseason, because they are running multi-car operations full-time in both the LES and the Slim Jim series. They bought out a declining Ford team. In the Slim Jim series, they bought the Keyblade Riders. In the Elite series, they bought out Young Motorsports. And it certainly is weird to see Young Motorsports and Dylan Young not on the grid, but such is change, I guess. But the most important thing with this team, I think, is it is a Maverick. I have to stress this: it is a Maverick developmental team. I talked about early in the program. We talked about how Ray Krieger's ride could be in danger, and this is why Boost Autosports basically hosts the next crop of Ford drivers, and one of these guys could be the driver to 17 next year. Could be a driver to 17 in 2019 if Krieger doesn't perform.
And to be honest, in my personal opinion, out of these three drivers, I think it's an easy choice which one is right now in the hot seat to take it, and that's Aiden Shepard.
Oh yeah, he's certainly interesting to talk about, but first we must talk about the first driver, and he is the most experienced, Marcus Bruno. You might have heard of this guy because he's not new. He ran full time in 2015 for Will Hoyt Developments, and for the most part, he had an absolutely terrible season. For the most part, he does have to his name, probably the most notable accomplishment to his name was a podium finish in that year's Sony 400. He took a couple of years, then dropped down, ran a couple of years with Boost Autosports. He drove for Carl Jasper, I believe, in 2016. Drove for Boost last year, ran part-time in the LES, performed really well, actually. He finished top 10 on multiple occasions and was like a fringe contender in the PT Cup. And now he's returning to the series as a full-time driver, and, well, with his experience, I would consider him the team leader.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of experience coming through that 28 car. And he is the oldest driver at the team at 25 years of age. And I do think there is a lot on the table for Marcus Bruno this year, that this could definitely be a breakout year for him, and it could turn into something that he can be more proud of than that podium back in 2015 in the Sony 400.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we shall.
But that's...
The Boost Autosporting itself, they already looked very, very fast in testing. Like, it was almost immediate.
Yeah, this team... Dean Phillips knows how to run a team. He's got Ford backing, and the way they were running and testing, you would never know that they were new to the series, because these cars don't drive like it. And that's probably huge for a lot of these young prospects, especially that guy in number 38 who drove for Young Motorsports last year, Aiden Shepard. He turned some heads last year, I'm just going to say, because he punched above his weight on multiple occasions in that 12 car last year. He was doing things that he should not have been able to do.
Particularly a third place at Talladega Superspeedway.
Aiden Shepard could have won at Talladega. I believe he was actually... I'm pretty sure he went for it. He dove underneath, and then he got squeezed, by Asherton Zona. Because, he could have won that race. But, yeah, came home 31st in the driver's standings, and I just want to put this in perspective. Aiden Shepard scored 93 points last year, and Brock scored 13. I think another big thing was Shepard. He qualified for the Sony with that team and scored points in a double points event. There is a lot of potential here there's a lot of star potential. I think Maverick and Dean Phillips, Duncan and Phillips, I think they both noticed that. So they picked him up, put him in that 38, and they got a big sponsor too, because Haviland jumped ship from Dodge Motorsports. They wanted to back a Texan driver, and, well, Shepard's a big up and comer.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we head over to rookie Australian, Madeline Adkins. This will be her first time in the number 98. Boost Mobile sponsored Ford Mustang.
Yeah, Adkins drove for Nexus Motorsports last year. She ran full-time in the Junior Series and part-time, and also ran their part-time Elite Series car. And she had a decent season for her equipment in Junior. Nexus not really been that good in the Junior Series. What got teams interested in her was her Elite Series runs, because she was running in the points almost all of her starts. She didn't actually get a lot of points, unfortunately, but considering her equipment, but she averaged a 21st place finish, and in her equipment, that's impressive. Phillips knew that. He actually picked her up before the end of the season. Adkins ran a Boost Autosports car in Auto Club, and she ran it very well. She was once again in the points all race before a chaotic late restart cost her.
Yeah, and Adkins, a very good speedway ringer who basically grew up around the Calder Park Thunderdrome and raced there pretty much all of her early life. A lot's expected out of her when we go on speedways, but her road course prowess isn't really there.
Yeah, like she's certainly the most raw out of the Boost Auto Sports lineup. Because yeah, Bruno's got experience. Shepard's a sophomore. But Adkins, this is her rookie season, and she's only made 4 starts. She's made 5 starts prior, so like it will be very interesting to see what she can do. But yeah, if you excuse me real quick, we will be taking a short break. I like my throat is killing me, and I need to get some more water.
I shall do that as well.
So give us about 3 minutes, and we'll be rejoining.
My throat will probably continue to die, but it's fine. Yeah, now we're gonna be getting to some of the smaller teams. That was the last free card team, and now it's going to get and now we're gonna be looking at some more of the minnows of the LES grid, starting with a team we've known for a long time that is going to be looking very different this season. The Canadian-owned Ian Masterson Racing. And by far the biggest change is the manufacturer. This is no longer a Toyota team. This is the flagship for new manufacturer Mazda. They are entering the sport and will be they are giving them the team full support, and they are running a Slim Jim Lights program, though they've always run I guess Masterson's always run a junior program, but yeah, they are great. They are great with a development program, but there's been a lot of changes, a lot of unexpected things happening in this team. But and I'm just gonna say this team is rebuilding, and it's also they're building around the new manufacturer, but just brand new driver lineup, completely new. Both of these guys are rookies, and we'll be talking about them here. And Mark Colbert is the driver of car number 22. And Colbert was originally not supposed to be in this car. This car was originally going to be driven by Masterson prospect Paul Swanson. He's been around for a while. He's run the junior series. They were going to move him up to this car in 2018, but unfortunately, he was involved in a major accident in the Sony 400 heat races. He had a it was like I believe like he had a what was it called?
It was a spinal injury, I think, that took him out.
Yeah, it was like some. Yeah, I believe it was some kind of spinal fracture, and he is alive and well, but he's I wouldn't say like I was like he's alive and well, but like he's still recovering, and it's like hopefully he'll be able to return to us soon, and like we wish him the best in his recovery. But back to Mark Colbert. He is actually a S3 Motorsports development driver. He's raced for them since the start of his ISCC career, and he ran part-time for them last year. Didn't really do that well, but he wasn't originally going to be driving this car. But after the Swanson incident happened, Masterson had a car open. S3 saw an opportunity to and Masterson wanted Colbert because he is Canadian. He's got experience in the lower series, and S3 saw an opportunity for development. So they've loaned him. So S3 Motorsports has loaned Mark Colbert to Ian Masterson, but I have to stress this is a 1-year deal. After this season, Colbert will go back to S3, and obviously whatever happens then will be up to them. So Masterson they need to look for a new driver, but or throughout the year they need a scout for the year, but also just but they still need to work on helping Colbert.
Colbert, from what I remember, had a rather tumultuous part-time campaign with S3 last year.
Yes, I guess he did, but he does have a lot of skill in short track racing, and I think that could be great because Masterson loves the short tracks. Speaking of which, taking over, Louis Duran did leave the team last night in the off season, and their new driver is another one of their prospects, Jason Evans, another guy we've seen for a little while. He's made sporadic starts in the Elite Series since 2014, actually, but he's finally getting a shot at the big leagues on a full-time basis.
That said, we're not necessarily expecting Ian Masterson Racing to be fast immediately. In fact, they're building up for the future rather than the present.
Yes, definitely. Though Jason Evans absolutely could surprise some tracks. He basically gained a reputation as the best short tracker in the junior series the last couple of years. And he actually won a race, and I mean, we know they don't have the biggest budget, but he won a race for them at Grand Tour last year. He's good. And so he could do something, but of course he is still a rookie, and they will be they will be building around. They will be just building on that. I will say they have found a lot more stability this year, partially due to Mazda helping them out, but partially to Mazda helping them out. They have more sponsorship, more funding, and that's great because that will help them build even more. But then we get that 00 car, and Swanson drove that car last year. obviously he's not in it now. Do you want to know who's in that car?
There are 4 drivers in that 00.
It's madness. Yeah, there's many. Mazda development driver Seiji Nakajima running 4 races.
Nakajima being a former Formula X driver. For Mazda Speed, in fact, he ran for Subaru for a while, and then with Mazda last year.
Yes. Then former full-time driver in the Elite Series and current Slim Jim Series regular Alex Perkle will be running 6 races with his usual Golden Corral colors. And of course, the usual advertisements that if... And of course, I have to say this every time I talk about Golden Corral and Alex Perkle, I also thought this advertisement, if Alex Perkle finishes top 10 in LES race, kids eat free at Golden Corral. And then the other 2, Jacques Descook stepped back from full-time driving to focus on his business and also race in the Pinty series. But Descook will be running the Canadian rounds and at Michigan. And then Nathan McCain, who normally drives for GX Motorsports. Well, GX isn't able to get an LES car ready for this year. They weren't able to get it ready with the whole Gen 2 thing. But they did strike a deal with Masterson to get McCain in the car for Decatur.
Right, to my recollection, McCain is a road ringer, and I'm not sure if he performed admirably with GX last year at Decatur, but let's not take away the fact that, McCain's been rather loyal to GX for a while.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. Then now we move on to another team that's rebuilding. Well, I mean, the Talger Race unit is a team that used to be a lot better, and they've not really had the same kind of success as they have in years past. And they finally lost Phyllis Theodore at the end of last year, and they have hired 2 rookies on their driver line. They have hired 2 rookies in their driver lineup to and they are focusing on rebuilding. Though I mean, I'm not sure if team owner Trek Talger would admit that it's a rebuild, but it's a rebuild. Completely. And they have 2 young, inexperienced drivers, and I mean, that could go badly, but both of these it's not like it's Jerry Coleman or like fucking Binky Louvier. No, both of these drivers have shown a lot of potential in their limited time in the Elite Series. Replacing Danny Everett in the 56 is Rio Lucas out of New Jersey. He kind of burst onto the scene last year, driving in the Sony 400. I mean, it didn't take 1 lap. It took 1 lap from the turn heads because he took there's a very annoying that was going to be a nuisance, and he flat out dumped that car into the pit wall at the end of the first lap, and people loved him for it. But then on top of
that being ejaculations, I think.
But he proved that he had some speed too, because then he charged all the way up to the front, finished 2nd in that race, and made the race. And then later in the year, when Phyllis Fedor filled in for a suspended Ryder Smith, Rio Lucas got the call to drive the 15. They ran unsponsored for that race, and he got points. And then he went back to Mach Free at Auto Club, got points again. Like, he's already got 2 points finishes in 3 starts, and there is a lot of potential there. He could be a future star, but he needs to develop. Then the other car number 76, is Asherton's, who stepped into that car after Chris Argus-Smith was released from the team. And he did the best he could for most of the races. He did the best he could for being a new driver at a kind of lower midfield, sometimes back marker team. And then Talladega happened. that was his breakout race. Zona was there at the right moment. He proved how good he was at plate racing. He jumped out, managed to sneak up and make a move, and he almost won the thing. He finished second. He was a few inches away from becoming a race winner before he even had a full-time ride.
And that race winner
Say the
Talladega
least.
was Nick Pericles from RJ Manson Racing.
To say the least, after that performance, that roll in the 76 turned into a full-time drive. And these are the two drivers. There is no third car. The 15 has scaled back to part-time, which will be driven by Curtis Rundis, a former Menards Truck Series champion who's now a regular in the Slim Jim Light Series and the Junior Series.
With him running in the Slim Jim Light Series under the Maverick program, I believe.
Yes, he is.
Correct me if I'm wrong on this.
But
we shall see how things pan out for Rundis in the 15 as well as his program with the Maverick-based program in Slim Jims.
Yeah, but I'll say but as they're rebuilding, one of the main things they need to work on is their chassis. That thing has been a disaster for the last 2 seasons and has been hurting them constantly. And it doesn't look like their chassis has been much better. They showed up to Denver with a car that still seemed a bit shaky on the power and wasn't really good in the corners. That's they've always been good at building a car that's fast in a straight line, but not good at taking a corner. With that said, that other part, while they've not been good at a lot of tracks, they certainly have the potential to play spoiler at the plate tracks like they did last year.
And will we see that again? Who knows?
I mean, hey, if Zona could do it once, maybe he could do it again. Maybe he can go one spot higher this time.
That's
a little far.
I mean, anything can happen at Talladega.
We shall see how that pans out for Ashton Zona and Rio Lucas in Tauger Racing Unit for the years to come. Not to mention that TRU, if I recall, also has a Formula X program, which doesn't bode much better in their funding.
Yeah, they should probably focus more on the That's where they've had their success. But moving on to the next team. Speaking of a team with an LES program, BMW Team Deutschland. Of course, after CBM closed Cybertron Motorsports, they closed their team after winning the championship in 2016. BMW went to they wanted to stay in the series. They started up their own program, and it was a absolute train wreck. There was a lot of things that happened last year. None of them were good. Well, okay, I guess it's not... I guess they had a few decent moments here and there. It wasn't completely terrible. It was only mostly terrible. You gotta look at the bright side. But, this season, they're trying to build and just have a better season. They do have some... I mean, they are pretty optimistic despite everything that happened last year. And I mean, when you have someone like Ben Thompson in your driver lineup, why wouldn't you be optimistic?
Ben Thompson being a 3-time Formula X Drivers' Champion after having a failed title defense in 2017 to former teammate Amy Shelley over at Raven West, he decided to take up a ride over in Launch Energy Elite Series with BMW Team Deutschland, which ironically is the sister team to Raven West over in Formula X, which is where Cosmic Nova is over at this time.
Yeah, I think Raven West's relationship with BMW is how this deal was made in the first place. Thompson gave stock cars a go last year, he found it enjoyable, and he's making a full-time transition as the full-time driver of the lead car. And well, obviously Thompson, one of the best open-wheel drivers of this generation. But of course, there's no telling for sure if if he'll be able to transition well to a stock car. It's a very different kind of vehicle.
And then we have one of the more questionable team movements, that being VJ Kesima in the number 60.
I don't think a lot of people expected this team to run 2 cars after everything happened, but uh, they managed to find a driver who was willing to fund a second car, and got VJ. So we have VJ Kasuma from Malaysia. He is the first Malaysian to ever take to the track in the Launch Energy Elite Series, and he's brought some big sponsorship and Patronas to help fund the team. It's always great to see people willing to give money to help a stock car team grow. Of course, Kasuma, he does come from touring car racing. Over in Malaysia, he does some GT free stuff. I think he does GT free racing as well, but no experience in stock cars. None whatsoever. I don't think he's ever touched an oval. And that could be a problem.
Despite their optimism, B&W Team Deutschland has looked rather slow in testing, although they have lots of potential to improve as the year goes on. They have much better sponsorship liability than what was last year, which was an entire mess of itself, and the inter-team battle is likely going to be lopsided, particularly in Thompson's favor.
Oh yeah, they do have still their part-time car. This is the third car. Gall Redlick is not full-time, but Kyle, are you there?
Yep.
I saw the light flashing. There was no audio, but yeah, Gall Redlick, he's had some awful luck the last few years of his career. He got after being let go from Sean McLaughlin Racing for sponsorship reasons. He ran a few races at BMW throughout the later in the year, and was able to manage a points run at Australia, and that combined with his Elite Series experience and DTM experience actually got him a shot in the part-time car, and this is the best equipment he's had in a while. He's gonna make most of it. But as great as it is to see Redlick get a competitive ride, well, actually, I think it's great that Redlick has a sponsor, because German-based Schluter Systems came on board to back Redlick, and they wanted Redlick specifically, and that is so nice. Because Redlick's maybe he's not had the success he's wanted, but he is such a nice guy and he works hard, and it's great to see him get something. But unfortunately, I think he's going to be overshadowed because of the other part-time driver, Cosmic Nova. He's not completely gone, people. Nova left the Elite Series full-time to go to Formula X. However, he went to BMW Team Deutschland. And they had a stock car program, and they wanted Nova, and he will be running Nova. To our knowledge, will be running he'll be running the European Tour races along with Indianapolis and Decatur, and it'll be certainly interesting to see what he can do in that 27 car. And I mean, we know what he's capable of. We know what he's capable of. Click, so he could end up being a big asset for that team.
We've also noticed that over in Formula X, Cosmic Nova has looked pretty fast in the number 11. And it's kind of scary to say, because BMW Team Deutschland was not supposed to be this quick from the get-go. But that'll be mentioned another time, another day. So Nova's kind of no slouch when it comes to adjusting to new race cars. And I think with the new Gen 2 car he's going to be coming up against, I won't doubt that he'll be a contender for wins again.
Yeah, it would be pretty cool. I mean, yeah, he is our 2-time champion. It would be cool to see him back in victory lane. The next team I don't think will be in victory lane, but that's not really what they're going for. Sean McLaughlin Racing is an Irish team that rose from the ashes of Blackstar Motorsports last year, and while they did come a bit out of nowhere, Sean McLaughlin is no stranger to motorsports. He is a veteran of BTCC, and after he stepped back from driving, he was also a team owner. Though I say that he did race as an independent for a few years before he retired from driving. But he knows what he's doing. While his budget may not be there, he is an effective owner, and he's shown that. I mean, he kind of showed it very quickly because he managed to get drivers of sponsorship last year, and he also managed to pick up former Slim Jim Series champion PJ Williams for a few races before he hung up his helmet. that was a very good hire, and probably one of the biggest things with this team is that he managed to get an alliance going with RJ Manson Racing. This team does have some, while it is a little limited, they're only sharing like data and stuff like that. Like they do have, like they are getting support. That is huge for a small team.
Support is support no matter how much it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And they have very solid sponsorship too. It's like this is going, they're just trying to build for the future, and they're not really expecting to be fast or anything like that. But they could be, but they could like build into something more competitive down the line. Now I haven't really gotten to the drivers, and I mean I haven't really talked about them much, but they are certainly worth going over. Chris Smith had a bit of a tumultuous rookie season. A lot of things happened. Most of it wasn't good. However, he joined Sean McLaughlin Racing in the year, and well, I mean, they're both Irishmen, and they formed a very solid relationship. They're like McLaughlin was an Irish driver. McLaughlin loves driving for a local team, and they seem to work with each other really well too. Argus Smith performed better with McLaughlin last year than he did with TRU. So now that he's entering his sophomore season, I think he could probably do a lot better.
Especially now that he's a lot more comfortable with the team and how they operate. I feel like Argus Smith could really pull his weight at the team and then some if he clicks.
Oh yeah. And the second driver, they downsized the 2 cars. Smart. I mean, we had the new generation 2 car. I remember hearing that Manson did help them with buying the Gen 2 cars, and so that's yeah, McLaughlin's definitely been smart with his money, and but yeah, anyway, so that's the driver of that second car is, well, while he may not be quite very familiar to people over here, Jack Halleck is very popular in the land down under. Is a lovely young lad with 2 V8 supercar titles to his name. And he did take a crack at stock car racing last year. Didn't do that well, but I think McLaughlin's seen the kind of success that V8 supercar drivers can have, and I think he knows that Halleck could definitely do something with the right team. It probably helps that with Halleck's popularity over there, he was able to bring a lot of funding to the team, and so he is going to be running that 52 car for the full season, and that's going to be a very interesting dynamic between these two.
I most certainly think that with the very wise decision making that Sean McLaughlin's made to his team, from scaling down from 3 to 2 cars and getting some partnership with RJ Manson Racing, I think this team is going to improve significantly as compared to last year when they took over the ill-fated Blackstorm Racing. I think for the most part that Sean McLaughlin will have some points finishes, but not a whole lot. I don't have particularly high expectations for Sean McLaughlin Racing, but at least they can keep a positive attitude while they're at it.
Yep. And then next is another one of the new very Van Dalen Autosport is known for their reputation in touring cars, but they've made a move to go over to stock car racing, and they've got manufacturer backing from McLaren. Yeah, remember them? McLaren worked with Will Hoyt Developments in 2016 and then fell off the face of the earth. But they're back again and giving manufacturers support to this new team.
Yep, the team led by a very big touring car driver back in the late 90s, early 2000s, being Akari Van Dalen. He is a very popular driver over in Europe, and he came over very excited to join the stock car scene, stating that he would have raced himself if he could physically.
Yeah, he's pretty experienced, so he's an experienced owner, so I don't think this team's gonna do anything stupid, though. They haven't. They've been pretty smart with their signings for sure. And
especially with the driver of that 71, who really this is probably his first big chance he's gotten in equipment other than, well,
Yeah.
Baby Tribe.
I was like, Baby Tribe is probably the only one he's been in.
Yeah, Jason Perkle. He is the brother. He's the older brother of Alex Perkle. He's driven for Baby Tribe his entire career and has shown potential, flashes of brilliance, despite like in his not so good equipment. He's finally getting a big break. Like running for it is a startup team, but it's a startup team of solid funding and leadership. And this is a huge opportunity for him. This is probably the first time that Perkle's ever been a team leader. I guess that's the thing you need to worry about, because he's never been a team leader. Can he do it effectively?
It's hard to say, because Jason Perkle, well, have always been in the shadows of, other teammates with Baby Tribe 5000, which no longer is operated this year. It's hard to say whether Jason Perkle can be an effective leader or not. In fact, he's been shadowed by his brother Alex many a times on track. But now, since Jason is running full-time this year, it's hard to say whether he's going to absolutely set the world on fire with his incredible hidden leadership talent, or kind of just fade in silence.
We'll see. With his experience, this is his 4th year as a full-time driver in the lawn chair. The 26-year-old will be serving as a mentor for his young teammates, the Greek freak, Stavros Dimitriou. He is definitely gained a bit of a following he's mainly popular in Europe, but he's gained a bit of a following in the US in his time, because, well, he popped into SkyTech Racing at Indianapolis, and, well, he qualified for the race, so that was pretty great. Though admittedly, he didn't really. Admittedly, he wasn't really that popular. He did end up wrecking journeyman driver Fred Jones in a practice session, and then was struggling with super reliability for in that race. But then the big thing happened. Team Thunder, well, Maverick GP now, they picked him up for a one-off at Paris, and Dimitriou, to the surprise of everyone, despite his age, pulled a podium finish. So I don't think anyone expected such a young driver to pull that off. He was fighting for the win. And, well, he's gotten a big opportunity, quite similar to, I guess his story's a bit similar to Ryan Manson. Turned heads in a limited schedule, and now he's gotten a big opportunity, and that car is fully backed by Heineken.
And to be honest, I'm not even sure that Dimitriou would have gotten this right if it wasn't for the fact that Dimitriou has raced in touring cars himself and has come across Van Dalen a few times. So to have someone, to be on a team with someone that you actually know from over in Europe is definitely going to give him some confidence going through the season.
And I definitely think he'll need it, because, well, it's hard to say if Dimitriou is really ready for the big league, but he'll certainly be giving it his best shot. And I think the European crowd will definitely enjoy watching him. Next team is definitely interesting. This is kind of 2 teams as one. Or Roush Racing Enterprises, this is basically 2 teams. Roush Racing Enterprises and Luminition Race Sports. Both teams merged late last year, and thanks to this, they have pretty solid funding, and there's not really any trouble with staff. But yeah, Luminition is fully backing this team, and thanks to that, there's certainly a lot of potential. And what also gives them potential is their driver. Abdel Jabri has run on a limited basis in over the past couple of years, and he has honestly impressed people. He's the only Moroccan to ever race in the LES, and so he'll be the first to race full time as well. But he managed to pull multiple top 15 finishes for a fading Team Umbrella, which unfortunately appears to have closed its doors. Yeah, they've been around for a while, but yeah, we've heard nothing about what they're doing. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame, but it seems like that. It seems in the end that you actually start somebody's career as Jabri found an opportunity of RE. And there's a lot of potential here.
Though it is kind of hard to say. Well, there's high potential for the future, and the fact that Jabri is in fact a lot more experienced than the other rookies. Is it possible for Scott Roush to be racing with RRE in the future? Because Scott Roush, while he's an IndyCar champion, merged over to Formula X with SNK. It's difficult to say whether, Jabri is going to contend for Rookie of the Year, given the limited equipment that Roush Racing Enterprises have.
Yeah. Yeah, about the experience thing, yeah. Jabri, you probably noticed he's a bit older than other rookies. Well, he's been around in the touring car scene for a while. So, this Generation 2 race car could certainly help him out there. As for Scott Roush, he attempted a couple of races last year. Indianapolis, the 2017 IndyCar. He attempted Indy, finished top 10. It was a really solid run, though he failed to qualify for Auto Club, though it was not entirely his fault. Roush has expressed interest in racing, racing more in the series. So it's expected that he could end up showing up to more races either as a one-off or as a promoter's option.
But by this point, time will only tell. At least in Scott Roush's favor, or in favor.
Well, and next up, we got yet another factory, SkyTech Racing. They are actually, to my knowledge, they are actually Israeli owned, and that's certainly interesting. And well, they are a factory team. This is the Subaru flagship, and Subaru is very passionate about this series. They're very serious about getting into stock car racing, as evidenced by the appearance of Akumura Motors. And and certainly that'll be interesting. And so we can definitely expect this team to build a lot in the future, since they really do care about this series. However, it's a good thing they're passionate, because they've got a lot of work to do. Their reliability, they showed up last year with a few cars, and oh boy, yeah. Remember when I saw about Dimitri and I said super reliability? Well, he had two mechanical failures. He had an engine problem early on in the race, and then comes back out, runs a few laps, then the engine completely explodes on him. And then the car they showed up with this year, in testing, was experiencing even more engine problems. So I think Subaru has been struggling to provide the team with a reliable engine.
Yeah, and that's going to definitely be a concern. They're very much in the same boat as RJ Manson, where they really got to work on their reliability, or it's just going to be a terrible season for them and Chris Dodd.
Yeah, Chris Dodd. I mean, let's be honest. A terrible season would unfortunately be worse, because I feel he's the first Puerto Rican to race in the series, and I felt so bad for him last year. His rookie season was wasted in a Baby Tribe R&D car. He's dealt with terrible reliability, and terrible speed, and terrible everything. Because the Baby Tribe just did not care about that R&D car. They never have.
Luckily for Dodd, at least he now has what I would suppose to assume as a much more stable full-time seat. While SkyTech Racing is only running one full-time car, they're also running a part-time car with the 08. That being the 08, being Isaias Cordoval running the Wick sponsorship, and Kazuki Takamoto running Motorola Solutions.
Yeah, Cordoval, I believe he's not a Subaru prospect, but rather a SkyTech prospect. He has a close relationship with them, and he's he's a young guy. He has a lot of room to improve. Takamoto, though, is a big deal, we've seen this guy. We know him well. He's in the junior series. He was in the junior series last couple of years. He actually was a contender for the title last year. And this year, he is basically Subaru's first official development driver. He is running with Akumura Motors in the Slim this year. I believe it is. And from what we've heard, it is a 2-year contract, so he'll probably be spending at least 2 years to develop in Slim Jims. And he'll also be adding a part-time Elite Series schedule on top of that. And I mean to say, when he's ready, he's probably going to be a force for this team. Takamoto could really be a big. Honestly, like with Dodd, Cordova, and Takamoto, Skytech has a bright future when it comes to talent.
Well, Dodd has been completely overshadowed by mechanical failures, terrible equipment, terrible everything. Dodd now has no excuses. He needs to step up this time around with Skytech Racing if he wants to fulfill this potential for improvement in the future.
Yeah, like that potential. He didn't prove. He wasn't able to show it in the Elite. He showed it in the Slim Jim series where he drives for Pontiac, and he had some good runs. He actually got a pole with the Pontiac team, and that was a surprise because they were brand new. So there's certainly potential there, but yeah, he will need to make sure to nail it. And well, Subaru, like there are 3 Japanese manufacturers like making their full-time debuts, and we've talked about Mazda, we've talked about Subaru, but now how about one of the biggest forces in open wheel racing, Honda? Uh-oh. Honda, it works really closely. Honda's been working very closely with a very popular, they're a Japanese manufacturing company, but they also work with racing, and they have a very oiled machine there. Like, they have a well-oiled machine in Super GT and Super Formula, and also a budding Formula X program. Newcom Motors is expanding to the Elite Series. And, they've expanded stock car racing. They're running in the Elite Series full time. They showed up to the one-off events last year and had a solid run of things. Like, their regular Super GT driver, Kei Nagase, qualified for the 400, and despite limited oval experience, finished 11th in the big race.
That's huge for Nagase, at least for her future in the sport.
I think Nagase is focused on Super GT, but if someone like her could, that does say a lot for her, but it also says a lot for this team. They clearly know what they're doing. Kira Hirose, he knows what he's doing. There's nothing he has the expertise, the business savvy, and obviously Newcom, Honda, Honda's bringing the funding. Newcom's a massive company. There is a ton of financial backing here, and they will and everyone here knows how to build a team that can win races and championships. As for their driver lineup, though, we do have a couple of rookies. One being much more experienced than the other. Cinder Komori has been a popular face in the U.S. for her very interesting 2 seasons in the Slim Jim series, and then also she's had a lot of history in the U.S. 2 seasons of Slim Jim series, 2 seasons in the Junior series. She's been a stock car racer for 4 years. She's not new to this thing, and this ain't her first rodeo. She's run a few LES races in the past, and she's finally reached the top of the ladder. This is her big moment. She's been working hard. Komori's been working hard for this for a long time.
But now there's another thing added to Komori's plate, is that she must be a team leader for a new team, that being of Newcom Motors, at least running in her full-time season here.
Yeah, she has to be the leader, because her teammate cannot be that. Kyoko Miyama is best known for racing in Formula Y for a few years, and well, her experience in stock cars is limited. This move, while she does want to race stock cars, this move was mostly done by Newcom and Honda. It's like they wanted her in this car, and she was receptive to it. But I have to question if she's ready for it, because her attitude, like she just does not have the composure for it. Like Komori is a very level-headed person, it's very calm. It was like, despite like, you'd probably think someone like her may be aggressive, but she's actually a very calm level person and driver. Miyama is anything but. She's definitely had like lapses of focus, and like her emotions got the better. And when she was racing last year, when she made her in the Sony 400 LCQ, her emotions got the better of her, as she had a terrible race, and then when the big wreck happened, she got involved in that, and she basically went, if I'm going down, I'm taking someone with me, and she pulled right up the track, took out Joshua Hyatt and Nathan McCain. Just intentionally wiped out 2 other cars, and that's why I'm kind of scared that she's full-time, because I don't know if she's mentally ready for it.
This could also spark a very, very intense inter-team rivalry. And if that happens, this could prove disastrous for Newcomb Motors if they don't get it together.
Yeah. So, something worth talking about their relationship, like, they don't really have much of a relationship right now, but, like, they have talked a few times. They're both very passionate about racing. From the few times they've interacted, they seem friendly, though they don't really have much of a... Yeah, they don't have much of a relationship, but they're both very passionate. They're just pushing each other to be the best drivers they can be, so... There already seems to be a bit of a rivalry between these two, but it appears to be a friendly rivalry for now, and I hope it stays that way, because a friendly rivalry can push 2 drivers to be the best they can be. It's when it goes a step further that it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
Now we shall step forward to one of the newer teams of the paddock.
Yeah. 3 teams left to talk about, and these are very interesting ones to talk about. They don't have a lot of these teams, like, they're entering the sport through, like, they got big funding from manufacturers, or from manufacturers or sponsors, and they got some good racing blood. They got good experience. I can't say the same for some of these new teams. Power Distributors Inc. Alex McLary is, he's a young like grassroots kid from North Carolina with a fortune. His family's rich. He opened up a racing team, and he decided he was going to make the big league, and he had the money to buy a Gen 2 car, and he completed the tests to get a Class A license, and so they can't really refuse him. But there's certainly a lot of questions with this team because he's never owned or raced at a high level.
Not only that, but they've also opened a part-time car.
Yeah, it's not even 1 car; it's 2. And the other driver also doesn't have much experience, Johnson Kelly. Like, he's gonna be a rookie in the Truck Series this year. Like, he also has very limited experience. I say at least McLary. Like, there was more destructive rookies in testing than he was. He at least was he was slow. I'm gonna say that he was pretty slow, but he at least didn't cause trouble. But I am a little worried about this team because, yeah, like, there's not really stable funding. I'll say, popular chat app Discord, which we're totally not using to record this, is sponsoring this number 02 car. It's a beautiful looking livery, but they're not a huge company, and I don't know if they'll be able to fund a full season. So, for all we know, they may have to pull out by like the European tour, and finances could become unstable. Like, I don't think they should have run 2 cars. They're spreading their resources. they don't have solid sponsorship to run 2 cars. They're spreading their resources thin here. Like, I'm just kind of worried about this team. I don't know how the year is going to go for them. I think their goal is going to just be to make it, to survive the full season. Because like the world of top stock car racing can be a rough one. Good luck, guys.
They definitely need it.
The next team is luckily a little more. Out of these 3 like less prepared teams, this one's at least a little more prepared. Oklahoma Warrior Racing. It's like, while Alex McLary doesn't have the big bucks, or the racing expertise, James Warrior from Oklahoma actually has both of these. He is, while you may have not heard of him, he is actually one of the more people who follow dirt racing may actually know him. He is one of the most successful sprint car drivers of the past few years. Multi-time winner of the Knoxville Nationals and the Chili Bowl. He's raced directly he's managed to beat people like Louis Duran. He's been able to beat like sprint car experts like Louis Duran to win those big races, and that has to count for something. He has run the 24 Hours of Daytona in the past, so like, he's young, but he's accomplished a lot, and that could say a lot about his ability. That could say a lot about his ability to race. He may be able to do a good job. And as for funding, well, Wells Fargo is a company that has been involved in racing in the past. They were involved with Myers Racing Team before, in Myers Enterprises before.
I think they were also involved with Ryan Costa in the past as well, when he was with Dodge Motorsports.
I don't believe that is the case. It was just no, it was Haviland.
Ah, right, my mistake. Though I will say that having Wells Fargo as a sponsor could prove well for Oklahoma Warrior Racing. Well, I don't expect them to score too many points. I guess expect them to be like a threat for like top 30.
There's no. Thanks to that big sponsor deal with Wells Fargo, he doesn't really have any funding issues, and that's huge for a new team. They're going to be building for the future. They don't have any manufacturer support for now, but with Warrior being a sprint car ace, I feel like this team could surprise some people at Eldora. He may be a sleeper threat there.
And then we have Zayden Davidson as a part-time driver running 12 races in E09. Backed by First Interstate Bank.
And that is an affiliate of Wells Fargo, so again, the funding helping there. And thank God, just like Warrior himself, Davidson also has a racing pedigree. Really not quite as super successful, but Davidson is a regular of supercars. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to race, and that's going to be helpful.
And
the biggest problem for James Warrior is how much is the dirt racing experience going to transfer over onto asphalt?
Yeah, that's a pretty big deal, because I think the only the asphalt experience he's ever had was a few truck series races that didn't go well, and a running of the 24 Hours of Daytona where he did okay, like didn't really set the world on fire. So obviously that we've seen many times where in the past we've seen amazing dirt racers try to transfer to asphalt and flop. Like, that is definitely the concern with him.
While we do have the last team we were going to mention that are arguably going to be the rivals to Oklahoma Warrior Racing, that being Team Texas.
I'd put them in. Yeah, the final team we're talking about tonight, this is the 20th and last full-time team. Team Texas is owned, I believe. Actually, I don't know who the team owner was. Was that ever mentioned? I don't think it was. But yeah, they've mainly just worked with short track racing and dirt racing and stuff like that, and that's where Eric Woods comes from. He's just a grassroots guy making a crack at the big leagues, and I'm just gonna say he is nowhere near ready Like I can tell you this right now because in the first test session, he had an issue with the car. He tried to pit and he swept across the bumper. He was like at the top of the track. He just swiped down, got into another car, and caused a wreck.
Who was that other car you
That
got
is-
into again?
I admittedly don't remember because I need to check the fucking replay again. But he got into it. But he got into another car. I'll probably check it out. I'll probably check it after I'll check the replay again after we're done. But like Eric Woods might not be ready for this after that, and it doesn't help that these guys they had no speed eater. Like, and I think also is partially Eric Woods' fault because this was the 44th team overall. They were the slowest in test. So really, this team is going to be a backmarker. And I think they know that. Their goal is to run every race and just like they want to qualify for races, they want to attempt. That's about it.
Unfortunately, I doubt that very much. Given that they were the slowest team in testing, I don't see them qualifying for very many races.
Unfortunately, that would be true. However, luckily on the funding front, they do have some solid sponsorship. Whataburger is their primary sponsor in the U.S. and they are pretty passionate about racing, considering they've basically sponsored like Jimmy Means Racing for the entire season over in the USSCA Gatorade series. And then they actually managed to get a fairly big company in Lego and that's right, a big thing they have over Power Distributors Inc. And one other thing I'll get to, but that's a big thing. They have solid sponsorship. And like we know this car, we know this car will be this team will be getting funded during the international races. And the other thing is, they're not overusing. They don't have a lot of resources, but they're not spreading them anywhere. All they have is this one car. There's no part-time cars or anything like that. It's just the 94, and that also gives them the advantage over PDI because PDI spreading their limited resources a bit thin, while this team is running just the one car. So Eric Woods, this is gonna be a crash course for you, buddy. I don't think you're ready. This team has thrown you into the deep end. Just, good luck, buddy. You're gonna need it.
Yeah, it's a bit of a yikes.
With that, this will likely conclude our show for this evening.
Yeah, that is all 44 cars. I'll be contesting the full season of the 2018 Launch Air Series. If you've stuck around for the full stream, I thank you for that. And next time we'll be starting our season. We'll be heading over to Jonesboro, Arkansas at the Jonesboro Speed Bowl and it will be for the opening race of the season. Well, it won't be the opening points race because obviously we've got to do the Walmart shootout. The 18 fastest cars from 2017 will go head to head for a big $100,000 check. And that race has always been exciting, and I'm be exciting once again. Though after that, it will be time for the season opener of the 2018 season, the Sam's Club 200K at the Roval. Thank you all for listening, and we'll be seeing y'all then.